Hey everyone, we are back with another update, and by we, of course, I mean with me as always is Corey. Say hi, Corey.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
And we're going to start with MetroSiege before we get into the graphics on my screen here. On the programming end of things, Alex has been working on further enhancing his multi-platform development suite to get MetroSiege working not only on classic retro Amiga computers, but also lots of modern platforms. And he didn't go into detail with whatever new wizardry he's worked, but basically the modern versions now take even less work on his end by quite a bit and are virtually pixel perfect duplications of the actual Amiga versions that are running. So that's really cool. And then speaking of Alex and actually the rest of the MetroSiege team, if you want to sort of meet them, very recently there was an Amiga Bill live stream on Twitch, which is now also available as a YouTube video that featured the programmer and musician for MetroSiege and all the latest gameplay footage Amiga Bill actually got to play with Alex online. MetroSiege has a cross-platform online co-op gameplay mode, so if you're interested in that, please do check it out. We'll link to it in the description, of course. And now back to the graphics you see on my screen. This is how level 4 of MetroSiege is shaping up. And this is the industrial area, so it's like warehouses and shipping businesses and stuff like that. And it had been mocked up for quite a while. Alex, the programmer, has started getting this level working in game. So I'm mostly through the cleaning stage. I'm going to make some really nice big graffiti going across at least one of these garage doors and finish cleaning it up. And then the other thing you'll notice is I'm starting to put, they're not cleaned up yet, but starting to put business signs on these different businesses. And usually what we do for cases like this and graffiti in general is we give our patrons a chance to request whatever graffiti they want or something like that. But in this case, we've opened the invitation. We have a Discord channel now, which is we're really starting to build up and be present on nearly on a daily basis. And so what we're doing is inviting anyone that joins our BitBeamCannon server. We'll link an invitation in the description. You can give us a request of, like if you have an idea for a business name or graffiti in general. Obviously nothing offensive, nothing
right, yeah.
Nothing vulgar, nothing offensive, nothing at all political or anything like that. Nothing copywritten. It has to be something original and something that makes sense. Like in the case of this level, if you want to recommend a business name, it has to make sense as a sensible name of a business that would be in warehouse like storage, shipping, international trade, those kinds of things. And also, since we're kind of starting to open up the invitation for these kind of things, keep in mind, everyone, never ever, and not just with us, but any people making stuff like games or movies or comic books, anything, never offer ideas if you don't mind not only those ideas getting taken or not taken and ruined, but also not getting any credit for it. So that's a big risk. That's why a lot of studios never offer invitations like this, like, hey, suggest ideas to us, because then there can be a big problem where people suggest an idea that they were already something very similar to what they were already going to do, or, you know, a million different things, and then people can get offended if either the idea is not used or is used and they feel they didn't get the credit they deserved. So make sure it's an idea you'd like to see in the game, but that is kind of disposable to you.
We are definitely trying to be aware and do more on Discord. Hopefully those who come into the general chat, you know, for the moment, eventually you'll start seeing things there that you might not catch elsewhere. So anyone who prefers it, we're in there. We can respond to things from time to time as well. So.
Right. And I just remembered going back to the Amiga Bill show I mentioned. It was either during that stream or one of the other very recent ones that we overheard some really fantastic music, retro style but very high quality instrumental music playing in the background, and that was this. So I ordered it myself. It's, as you can see, it's called Amiga Rocks. It's by Fast Loaders and just really high quality. As I'm editing this video, I'll play some of the music in the background, but I highly recommend it. We'll also link to this in the description. and definitely do check it out if you like how this music sounds. It's a triple CD set of basically this musician's take on a lot of classic retro game music, and really beautiful stuff. And the other cool thing, after I bought this, I contacted the musician and let him know that Corey and I were going to start live streaming on a fairly regular basis sometime this year, and he gave us permission to play some of this music as background music when we live stream too. So we really appreciate it, fast loaders, and thank you very much. And again, if you like the music, please do check it out. And now moving over to DaemonClaw. If you've watched our previous update videos, you may know that we were working on implementing, and now he's fully implemented, the level 2 sub-boss right at the end of level 2, who kind of finishes the story, because during that level, as you know, those giant frozen people in giant ice boulders were slamming down at you from the sky, and near the end of the level, you see that there's this guy with this trebuchet, and that's who it is. You've got this much bigger than the average Ram Men sub-boss here. I had mentioned that to really help tell that story, that he was the guy controlling the trebuchet and launching those things. We've created this intro animation for him that actually starts there with his hands on the control, so to speak, and his weapons down in the snow, and he grabs the weapons and walks into the foreground to play with you, and that's in game, and I can actually show you some footage of that in game. I'll just edit it in after the fact. And then, but the other thing you might notice, if you look at the way the graphics originally were in this level, and largely still are, you could see there's his main idle pose, but there's a difference between this one, and that is down at the feet. And I just had a realization, because the ground is so bright here, and all the characters, including the player character, have fairly dark, almost black, if not outlines, detailing down at the feet. That really made them not look kind of in the snow. And so I realized it would be a very quick edit to just use some of the lighter colors in the sprite palettes for these characters, and just almost anti-alias that in there. So we could use these two colors and get a much more natural in the snow kind of look.
Yeah, it's an excellent idea, and we're going to retroactively apply this to all the enemies of this level.
So that's one of the last little cherries on top as far as visual polish for this level. And then in other news, we are working on now getting the actual, like, this is the sub-boss of level 2, and at the end you walk off the right into, you can see the edge of the go arrow from this screen grab. So right after you beat this guy, you walk off screen and you're entering a cave, which is like the headquarters for the real boss. And we don't want to spoil it too much, but there's a cool intro sequence. There probably will be for every boss. But for this one, it's already about 80% implemented as far as the logic goes, the code, so to speak. And I'm just implementing it with largely placeholder art, but also Corey had done quite a while ago the pixel art for the environment. But since then, we've drastically upgraded the style of the graphics to allow for more colors and a bigger screen and more parallax and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I had also made a time-lapse of that environment that if you go back into our time-lapse playlist, you can see that. And with the upgrades, we had talked about ideas to change things previously. I think our patrons might know a little more about that. I'll be making another time-lapse of upgrading that, which will be a little different from my normal ones. Instead of drawing it from scratch, may give you all something to look forward to. I'm anxious to get in there and make it look on par with the rest of what we've been doing here. So,
Yep.
yeah.
And speaking of that, you just reminded me of level 3. You've very recently done the same thing, and I've gotten the art in game. So level 3, if you guys don't know, is a swamp level. So let's skip to the swamp level. Get the mouse pointer off screen for you. So you can see the beautiful new enhancements, more color, a more much more detailed background. Some really nice stuff if you want to describe any more.
You know, this one was fairly detailed before, but I definitely wanted to get into color ideas because it was a little too blue before, and I wanted to add a little more greenery to it, add more variation to the ground, and just clean up any little spots I thought that needed it. There's also height added to the map, so you can go up higher. There's a lot going on, a new background. Yeah. So I think there's some bridges added and a little bit of decor around for the describing the fishman culture, I guess you could say, or part of it.
Yeah, the human sacrifice.
Yes.
Works of art there, yeah.
And there may be more added later, depending on how long this level ends up being and stuff like that. We haven't quite got that far with it yet as far as deciding those things, but right. I felt like it was pretty solid for the moment for us to go ahead and flesh out the gameplay and everything and insert what will be sub-bosses, which we're getting a little more creative with that for this level, but I don't want to give anything away.
One thing we're almost certainly going to do before the game is released is also use the method of animating background tiles to get some of this plant life occasionally moving around a bit too, and that'll just really
absolutely
bring the level to life. It's beautiful. Great work as always, Corey.
Thank you. Yeah. This one's completely fun. I think this was my favorite level to draw as far as all of that goes. Yeah.
Yeah, the enemies are fantastic too. And keep on the lookout for Sega fans. We're not going to spoil it, but when you eventually can play this game, it probably won't happen the first several times you play this level, but keep playing this level and someday you will run into a fantastic, very Sega-themed Easter egg regarding one of these enemies. And I think that's pretty much it. The only other thing, I can't remember if we covered it in our last public video, but Allister Brimble, the amazing musician who's making the soundtrack for this game, he recently finished the 2 required versions of the boss fight music, which we won't show you right now. We haven't kind of revealed the boss fight yet, but I think you said it was your favorite song so far, Corey, and
yeah, and we might have mentioned it before, but yeah, it's the most recent music he's made, and we still plan on eventually having more made. Particularly, we want him to handle possibly later in the game music that's very important, stuff like that, because he's done such a good job of everything flowing together, and I can't say enough positive things about it. So
yeah, and me too. I mean, I love the whole soundtrack, and every song is fantastic. But I agree with you, the boss fight one, it's so perfect. It takes all the style that he's established for the soundtrack of this song, and it really gives it that importance and energy that a boss fight should have.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's really great. And remember, it's like 2 variants of the song for every level and for the boss fights. So, and that does remind me of that one other thing we were going to mention in this video, is what we're working on is a really polished, fully playable demo of the game, going from the splash screen, menu screen, the intro cinematic, level 1, level 2 boss fight, level 2, which obviously includes the nice sub-boss now, and then finally the introduction of the level 2 boss. And that's where we're going to cut off the demo, but that will be the point once all of that is completely polished and we're getting really close, then it will be time for us to send this demo to as many Twitch streamers and YouTubers who specifically play these style of games. So that'll be our first real big sort of push to try to get more visibility out there of these projects we're working on. And we've got a similar idea going for MetroSiege, and similarly we're getting really close to that state now with both games. So we're getting there. We're making good progress and building momentum. But I think that is it for this video, and thanks very much for watching.
If you enjoy our content and want to keep up to date on our games, please leave a like and subscribe. Also, if you want to support our projects, consider becoming a patron. The link's in the description, and we'll see you soon.